Hello, everybody. Angelle here from Positive Gems Dog Training. We are March the 6th of 2022 today, and I am here. I will be joined shortly, actually, by a special guest. So this weekend up in Alaska is the Iditarod 50th anniversary race. So I thought it'd be really fun to invite a special guest who, although she doesn't take part in the Iditarod, is a local musher. So she has her own sled dog team. So I actually had the opportunity to go to one of their club meetings this weekend, which was really interesting. I learned quite a bit. So I thought it'd be really fun to have her come on here and talk to us a little bit about what she does as a as a musher and with her dog sledding team and how she got into it. And if anybody's interested in getting into dog sledding, what they can do in order to do that. So she will be here shortly. But as always, if you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my videos. And if you also haven't done so yet, find us on Facebook. During Facebook, on our Facebook page, we also have some contests that we happen to that go with these videos, so definitely be sure to check that out. So Mona is coming in, so I'm going to invite her in here, and we'll get started with the interview. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining me today.
No problem. My pleasure.
Good. So we are recording. So at any point, if there's any questions that you prefer not to answer, just let me know and we could just kind of skip over it. So I was just saying how I had the chance to go experience this whole dog sledding thing this weekend, which was super fun. But before we get into that, can you tell us a little bit about what got you interested in dog sledding and how you got started?
Well, it's actually been a dream of mine for a very long time, but I could never find the right people to kind of send me in the right direction. So I could never find what kind of harnesses you use. How do you get them started? I remember trying a harness on Bella once. Bella's 13.
Okay.
And she's a big dog. And I remember trying it on her and she just laid down. And there was no way I could even budge her. And then after that, when I heard about the Timmins Dog Sport Association, that's when I contacted Megan and Jacob, and I had a husky at that time. Like, I knew Bella was too old. Mm-hmm. So I had Kova. He was only 1 year old, and I said, well, he's pretty laid back, so I don't know if he's like a sled dog or anything like that. But I said, I would really like to try him out. So Megan would harness them and tried him with her team.
Okay.
So that's how we got introduced to the sport, really, through Megan. So I bring Kova, and I said, like I said, I don't think he's pretty laid back. He's very different for a husky. He's very quiet,
Yeah.
Not too much energy, So I said, we'll see what he does. And she even said it, there's some huskies that it's not into them. They don't like it. So she said, if we have a hard time, I'll just do a very short little run with him, try to get him to run type of thing. And she says, if ever he gets the hand of it, well, then I'll do the whole 2 kilometer loop. Well, she put him in place, and she got the harness on him, and off she went. Within 2 seconds or 2 minutes, she turned around and said, "We're doing 5K."
So he was going to be perfect for a team.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so that was
Yeah.
kind of your kickstart that said, okay, yeah, I'm
And
doing this for sure.
well, I just looked at her go with her dogs, and it was like, oh my God, I wish I could do this, you know. So then what happened is I was fostering Mishka, which is now my dog.
Yeah.
And I wasn't looking to get a dog right away, but I was fostering Mishka, and she had a lot more energy than Kova. So just the regular walks, like I would have had to walk a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when she was about, I would say 10 months, I got, Mark actually is the one, he said, let's try bijoring with her and Kova. So bijoring, because it was in the fall that she had turned like 10 months. So I said, well, I haven't driven a bike in I don't know how long.
Is it true that it's something that you don't forget?
It's something that you don't forget. Absolutely. So I said, you try it first. So he called Megan again, and Megan again showed us like what we needed. We needed like a certain rod in front of the bike so that the cord doesn't get caught up in the hill.
Yeah.
And so she guided us again, thank God. And he tried it with Mishka and Kova.
So he had both dogs attached to the bike.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And I said, okay, I'm gonna report this. But it went actually really good. And Mishka, it was her first time in harness, and Kova wasn't because he had run with Megan's team. But they pulled and they went right by me, like I was filming, and they just went, yeah. So they were very focused, so after that, Mark says, do you want to try? And of course I'm okay.
Yeah. And did it go okay?
Yeah. So basically it started all there with Kova and Mishka. We started with the bijoring, like really into it. So sometimes I would take the two dogs by myself, but Megan and her two dogs were there, and Chelsea, like we tried to go as a group, so we're never really alone type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just safer. You feel safer, especially in the fall with the bears and whatnot.
Yeah.
So sometimes I would take the two dogs and I would go, and a lot of times I had to call a friend or something to help me hold the dogs, because it's not like a sled. You can't anchor it.
Mm-hmm.
You actually have to.
And honestly, this weekend you had me anchor the sled down, and even with that brake, those dogs are pulling like you are holding on for dear life, and if you're not, you're going.
Yeah, exactly. So I always needed a friend to help, type of thing. But and sometimes we would go just me and Mark, and he would bring one dog and I would bring the other. So we had a lot of fun doing that. And then we got into the winter and we did the kick sledding.
Okay.
And when we had two dogs on the kick sled, it was like, oh, this is fun.
So can you explain a little bit? So the bijoring is you're on a bike and you have the dogs pulling. What is a kick sled? Can you tell us a little bit more of what it is?
Yeah, the kick sled is like when you're in the winter season, and when you have just one dog or just two dogs, a sled like I had on the weekend, it's a little bit too big for them.
Okay.
It's not necessary to have a big sled for two dogs, right? So we bought kick sleds that are like built for one or two dogs. So it's like there's wooden ones, there's all kinds of different ones, but
But
we
they're
got
not as long. Eh? I think I saw
they're,
this weekend they're
yeah,
a little bit more
they're
condensed,
good.
if you will. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And the kick sleds that we bought were racing kick sleds.
Okay.
So they're built but with aluminum, and you can kind of steer with your handles, and you can go pretty fast when you have two dogs on that, like we did.
Yeah.
We were going fast with two dogs. But then we got Kavik, and that's when we upgraded to a bigger sled.
And it's beautiful, like to see these dogs just take off and just go, like they are, it's beautiful to see. Like I was so amazed this weekend. So now how long has it been since you've gotten into this sport roughly?
About 3 years now. Like,
Okay.
well, I would say, yeah, the first year, I didn't ride anything. It was
Okay.
mostly Kova. But yeah, I've been training pups for the past 3 years. So I would say 3 years that I really got into it, that I'm totally in love with it.
Yeah. You could tell like the passion's definitely there. So your dog sled team now consists of 3 dogs,
Yes,
and are they all Siberian Huskies? All
yes.
3? Yeah. And how old are they? What is the age range there?
Well, like I said, 3 pups, 3 years. So Kova's 3, Mishka's 2, and Kavik just turned 1 in October. Well, it's been, yeah, he's a little bit over 1 now.
There you go. And from my understanding, creating a dog sled team is really a matter of like you really have to watch like where your dogs are good and which one's fastest, which one's slowest, which one has more attention. How did you determine where your dogs were going to be placed in the sled team? Because it's not just a matter of slapping your dogs onto the sleigh and okay, guys, figure it out, right? Like,
Yeah,
how
no.
does that happen?
Well, actually, that's a good question, because that was something that I was asking my mentors, like Megan, Chelsea, and Jacob. Like, how do you pick a lead dog? Like, how do you know?
Mhm.
How do you know that that's a lead and that's not?
Yeah.
So, and they all told me, you'll know, you'll figure it out. And it was like, okay. So we figured, since Kova, he was doing well with directions. Kova has always done well with directions. So we figured we'll put him in lead, and we'll put Mishka and Kavik in the back so they can learn the directions. Mishka is pretty good, but Mishka is more like, she likes the speed, and if it goes too slow, it's like, nah, I'll go in the snow for a little break.
So she usually gets distracted if it's not to her pace.
Yeah, exactly. Or she'll put her head in the snow. It doesn't happen often. She's pretty focused, but she's like, she doesn't want to think about stuff. She just wants to run.
Oh, yeah.
But those are all things that I learned by running them and observing them. Right.
So yeah. So now you have I think it was Kavik that you have up in the front. So I guess with Kova in the front, it wasn't quite working out the way you were hoping.
Well, what happened is Kova, because he was always, we were pretty much running him and Mishka together all the time last winter. And Kavik was small, so I would stay back with Kavik because Kavik couldn't pull a sled. He was too small. So Mishka and Kova ran a lot together with Mark on the kick sled. So when we put him up in lead, he did one run that was pretty good, but then he would slack down. It was like, where's my sister?
Oh, okay.
Where's my brother type of thing. So I found out afterwards through my mentors and stuff that it's very hard mentally on a dog, because to listen to the directions and not see you and to lead the team, it's a lot of mental work. So not all dogs want to do that.
Yeah, fair.
So, right. So then we said, okay, we're gonna switch him. We're gonna put Mishka, because like I think this third time we brought him out, he was in the front and he was going really slow. Oh. It was like, okay, like what's going on here? Like this is not Kova. So we switched him up and we put Mishka in the front, and Mishka went, phew, she just took off like a bullet. And it was cool. We kept her for about 3 runs, but what happened is she's great at staying on the trail. She's great at being focused, but don't tell her G or ha. She just wants to go where she wants to go.
And G or ha, just to confirm, is your left and right, correct?
Yes, okay. Yes, exactly. Like if she doesn't feel like turning, she'll just follow the trail. So we said we can't put her in lead because she's, and again, it was too much for her.
Okay.
It was just, and that's what I learned as well. So I said, well, Megan, I said, we're gonna put Kavik. We're gonna try Kavik. Like he doesn't know his directions.
We're gonna give it a shot. And how old was Kavik at this point when you put him in the team?
Well, he just started this winter.
Okay, so 11 months or so, 11 months, yeah. So.
Because he was born October 31st, and we started running him in November.
Okay, so he was just over a year then.
Yeah, just over a year.
Nice.
So it was like, okay, let's try. And Kavik has to be my strongest dog out of all 3. But Kova is very, very good wheel dog. And a wheel dog, it's more physical for a wheel dog.
Okay.
But for the lead dog, it's more mental.
Mental.
So we tried Kavik, and ever since then, it's been, we've just developing him. I brought him to Megan. I said, run my team, tell me what you think. And she came back and she said, Kavik's your leader.
Nice. So it really is one of those trial and error things that you gotta test the dogs and see where their strengths are. And so what would you say when you're choosing your dogs, or when you're putting a dog on a team, what makes a good pulling dogs? From what you're telling me, I'm thinking it's focus and drive. Is there anything else that you feel like really makes a good good sled dog?
Well, my 2 dogs, often they've been called crazy.
Okay, so high energy.
Like I've been lucky. I really have been lucky. They've been very focused and driven. Even I have a friend that she started with the Kicksled with her dog, and at first I told her, I'm gonna tie her with Kova so she gets the idea, right? And so Kova trained her dog.
Oh, interesting.
So Kova was pretty good, but he did 2 runs with her, like 2 different sessions with her, training her. And at first the dog was like, she wanted to kiss him, she wanted to play with him, but he would correct her.
Oh, okay.
He would just correct her, like, and just keep correcting her. So he was perfect to train her, because at the 3rd run, she was focused. She was more focused, not as focused and driven as my dogs, but she was focused and driven. But I think what helps is when you're starting is to get your dog in a team.
Yeah, so better than to just kind of like, hey, you know what, I want to get into this and throw your dog on a sled and go. It's a good idea to have the experience with others.
Sometimes that can work, but other times, you know, it's better to just try them out with a team or with a partner that knows what they're doing. Like I wouldn't have put her dog with Kavik or Mishka because they're very overstimulated.
Okay, yeah.
For a run, so their corrections would have been harsh.
Yeah, because all their focus on is
yeah. So but Kova's pretty good. He's got a lot of patience. He's more laid back. So he was able to really correct her, get her on the right path. Once she kind of knew what she was doing, I went for another run with them, and he was like, no, I'm not feeling this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay.
So the dog, it's really basically the dog will kind of tell you, because like even the best dogs, sometimes if they don't feel like running, they're just not going to run.
Yeah.
They're just going to stop. And they're just gonna like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, and I guess that kind of goes with anything, right? Like when you're working with your dogs on training or anything else, that's one thing I tell my clients a lot is you got to go with what your dog, their energy is in the moment, and not expect that, even though some days they're great, that if they're having a day, just like we have some days where we don't want to do anything, that dogs have those days as well. No matter how motivated and how much they love the activity, we also have to respect the fact that some days they just won't do it. They're just not interested sometimes.
Yeah. And sometimes it just like for him, it was just, well, this is not my team, and I'm used to running with my team now. And sometimes I'll bring Piper in our team, and he'll be fine with that. He did, like, because Kova is a very hard worker. He's a very strong wheel dog. But yeah, just alone with her, the third run, it was like, no, I'm not feeling it.
I'm over it. Yeah.
I'm not training you no more.
You should know this by now.
Yeah. So but the more that you do activities with them, and the more that, because when you're on your sled, as much as it's like crazy in the beginning, like you saw
it's crazy. They just want to go.
As soon as you say that word hike, you're like in a almost in a meditative state, because you're just focusing on the dogs. So you're really watching each and every dog, kind of, and you're focused on the path and the dogs. That's all you're focused on.
And what are you looking at when you're watching your dogs? Like, what are you watching for?
Well, I'm watching for them to either like, some dogs will pee or poop on the trail, so you have to brake. You have to be like, so that you don't hit them. You're also watching their gait, the way they're running. If the tail's like, if there's anything off with the tail, or if there's anything off with their gait, like, it's all stuff that you want to be aware of, because you don't want to hurt your dog, right?
Yeah.
Usually dogs, if they're injured or something, they're usually gonna kind of tell you. You're kind of figure it out. But you're also watching the dogs because and ahead, because you want to make sure they stay on the trail. If there's something ahead, you want to make sure they're going to go on by it, not in it, or not on the person. So it's all stuff that we train. We train for all of those things. Like I've been in the trail with Mark, and Mark has walked Bella, and we've let Bella loose in the trail just to see how the dogs would react. We've had people go off the trail and take pictures, and different things that we practice with the group.
Yeah. So I guess it's important to have the distractions sometimes, so that you have that chance to work them. And again, that's, it's another part of training. Even if you're training your dog to sit, stay, it's, you have to do it around distractions too, so that when you're in a situation, they're more likely to listen, because you've practiced it out of context.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting. So How fast does your team go roughly? You, from my understanding, you sometimes have some timed runs.
Yes, yes, we have time runs. They can do 2.2 kilometers in about 5 minutes.
That's really fast. I can't run that fast.
No,
I can't run that fast. That's
very
really
fast.
impressive. Yeah. So yeah, actually, I wanted to ask too. So just to go back to the previous thing, when they get distracted, so if one dog slows down, are the other dogs paying attention to that as well, or is it all on you to stop that?
Well,
Stop the team.
if I notice like one dog slowing down, I'll slow the team down.
Okay.
I will slow the whole team down. Because if I see their rope slacking or something, it's because one of the dogs are tired and they need a little break or something, or I'll slow them down just so that they get a better pace. But a lot of times I'll just stop, but I'll stop for a break.
And yeah, and I have to ask, because after seeing them take off the way they take off, is it hard to stop them? Like when they're off and going, like, are they like, how good are they to really respond? Because I don't know, I think of when dogs are high energy, like they're just going, there's no stopping them. So
no,
how does that work?
They're very, actually, that's what's great about the dog sledding sport. It's unreal what these dogs can do and understand, because they are being thrown all kinds of things that you don't get in the normal training setting, right? So if I'm going really fast, I mean, I say easy, they start slowing down.
Nice.
And then I say whoa, and they'll stop. They know that command. And if they don't, we're like, we have a drag mat, we have the brake, we put all our force into it, and
and
but
they break that, they pick up on that.
Yeah, because before I would stop and they would be like, because we practice the stopping, and to show the leader, you're not in control of the ride, I am. So you're not going to decide when I start or when I go. It's going to be me. So I will purposely stop him during the run. And before, when I would stop the team, they would go like, you remember how you saw them in the beginning? They would like that when I'd stop them in the trail. They would be like that. It's like, we want to go. Well, I wouldn't go until I got them to kind of
wait till the yeah.
And now if I stop them, they wait. And not a word.
Nice. Yeah, because it's loud, like they're barking, they're screaming, like there are some sounds that come out of those dogs that somebody who doesn't know is going to think some of these dogs are being hurt. Like the scream is quite intense, like they want to go.
Oh,
definitely. So what happens if the person, like the rider or the musher, I'm not sure what term you use, but if that person falls off the sled, like, are the dogs, like, at that point, are you also able to say whoa and they stop, or do they sometimes just kind of go because they're
I've had a mishap where the first rule of mushing is never let go of your sled.
Fair.
That's the first rule, and I broke that rule this winter.
Okay.
Thankfully, Megan, she's like the head of this Timmins district, the Timmins Dog Sport Association. She's very knowledgeable and everything, but I was running right behind her, so she stopped my team. She was able to stop my team.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Because she's been running big teams and dogs for a long time, so she's very comfortable on the sled. She's very comfortable she's not nervous like most of us are.
And like, I have to be honest, like just holding the sled back, I couldn't imagine actually standing on there and letting them pull me. It takes some, I would assume, some balance and some bravery there for sure.
Oh yes, like I get nervous. There was one time it was me chasing Chelsea's team, and I took off like I'm lighter than Mark, and I was right behind her. I was right.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was like, oh my God, it was fast. You really have to hold on, and but I use the drag mat a lot to slow them down.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you'd have to have some kind of tool to especially until you get really comfortable with the whole speed that they can. Because I read somewhere that, you know, the average what was it, 8 miles per hour, so what is that, 13 kilometers per hour is like the average, but some dogs go up to like 32 kilometers, or not dogs, but teams go up to like 30 kilometers per hour. Like, that's fast.
Yeah, like Mark's takeoff yesterday with Chelsea was probably around 28.
Like, that is intense.
Yeah, and his average speed was probably around 20.
Really, it's beautiful to watch. Beautiful. So if somebody wanted to get involved in dog sledding, or just kind of check out, you know, they're kind of on a fence still, what should they do? Where can they go locally? So we're here in Timmins. So you're mentioning that we have a group that is, and is this group specific to dog sledding?
No, it's all kinds of dog sports. Like we started with Bajoring. We have people in our group that do canicross in the summer.
Okay, and what is that?
That is just running with your dog.
Oh, okay.
You have, and the dog has to learn all the same mushing terms, like they still, because they're ahead of you. Mm-hmm. So they have to be able to stop when you ask them to stop. They have to go right. They have, you know, so they're not dragging you everywhere.
Yeah.
And we have the skijorers, which is they ski with the dog. So they basically put a harness. It's a special harness on the person that, and then you have a gang line and a line to attach your dog to yourself.
Okay.
Like me and Mark have harnesses. We don't do the canicross, but we go hiking with the dogs with that.
Oh, okay.
But my dogs know the difference between when I put the harness and when I put their leash, like their halty.
Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah.
They know that if we're going for a walk, they're not to pull me type of thing.
Yeah.
When they're in harness, yeah, they're gonna pull.
Yeah. And actually, before we continue on that, just while you're talking about harness, like there is a specific harness that, like, I was, you know, I've seen harnesses obviously, but the harness that the dog pull, like the sled team wears, like they are full body harness. Like, is that what you would find typically, like that's the harness for sledding?
Yes, or any like dog sport. Okay. And it's important to have a really good fit on the dog with the harness, because you don't want the harness too high on their collarbone, because that could hinder their breathing. Mm-hmm. You want it to fit right under the armpits type of thing, so it doesn't rub or it doesn't aggravate anything there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a specific harness for that, because if you don't use those harnesses, you could actually hurt your dog.
Which makes sense. And you know, just to give an idea, I have pictures and I'm going to post them along with the videos. But the harness itself ties down, like the buckle is quite low on the dog's body, like it's really near the tail.
Yep.
So I guess it gives them more pull. Yes. I guess it would give them more leverage, I guess.
It's they're I'm not exactly sure how to explain it, but yeah, like you can't just go and get a harness at a pet store and they say, oh, this is a really good walking harness, I'll use this to pull. No, you can't, because you could actually hurt your dog. These harnesses are specifically made so that the dog is not in any way, shape, or form going to hurt himself anywhere or have any pressure points anywhere.
Yeah, because I guess like these sleds get pretty heavy, and even this weekend, the dogs were, my son was there, so he got a ride. So these dogs are pulling some heavy loads at time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when we condition them at first to build their muscle, because it's important for them to build muscle, right? So when we start the season, a lot of times I'll be the passenger on the sled.
Okay. So then they could build that endurance along with the muscle and kind of work that getting stronger and building.
Yeah, it's slow. You force them to be at a slow pace and like build the muscles and stuff just so they don't get hurt.
Yeah.
It's like if you've done nothing all summer and all of a sudden you start working out in the winter, you're gonna you have to go gradually. You can't just boom, right?
Very true. Oh, how can we ever relate?
So my dogs are the same. I don't do anything with them in the summer. That's their rest time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you say you do nothing, but I mean, you go hiking and you take them for walks and whatnot. So, they're still getting activity, but yeah, of course, it's not as intense as when you go. But some people in your group do, however, right? Like they'll do the bijoring, and they'll do, what did you call it when they're running? What's it called?
The canny cross.
Canny cross. I don't know if I'm gonna remember.
But they usually do that like mostly in the fall or in the spring.
And would that be because of temperatures? I'm assuming that's So I guess and we talked about this a little bit this weekend, that temperatures is really important for these dogs, because so even though we might feel it's really cold, if you're interested in doing dog sledding, you got to get used to the cold, because for these dogs, it's better if it's colder. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, too cold is not good. It could be harder on their lungs if they're not conditioned properly. But yeah, colder is better than these warm days. This is a little too hot for them.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we're like, yes, finally, we're getting this nice weather. So if people wanted to join, how would they go about doing that? Is there somebody they contact? Can they find the group on Facebook? What would they be looking for?
Yeah, the Timmins Dog Sport Association. The group is on Facebook. It's a certain amount for a membership. I think it's $15.
Oh, for the season.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And you have a whole community there to help you.
And I've met a few of them, and they really are very knowledgeable, and they know their sledding teams, and they understand what the sport is. So you really learn a lot, even if you're kind of still on the fence. I encourage you to reach out to the group and definitely talk to Megan or Chelsea or even Mona and ask your questions, because you can learn a lot. And even you hear about dog sledding, of course, and you see the videos, and you know about Iditarod, and you know about all that stuff. But I have to admit, like, it's a whole other thing to really witness what goes on at these races, if you will, or just these runs. It's very, very interesting. And of course, the equipment. Where would somebody look to purchase the proper equipment?
Well, with our group, if you're in the Timmins Dog Sport Association, you get all the latest things that you could buy, all the equipment, tips, everything.
Nice.
Everywhere, anything that you want, the group can hook you up to get.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing, because I think a lot of people, you know, who might be interested might be like, yeah, well, where in the world do I start? Like, I know
Yeah,
myself, I
because
wouldn't have a clue.
I was like that too, but with this group, it's like you start with fittings. You start with the harness fittings with Megan. She's the best for
Nice.
harness fittings. Um, and then after that, you if you're interested in running with your dog, you run with your dog. If you're interested in like skijoring or bijoring, you'll get all the tips, all the tools, all the knowledge that you need to do it successfully with your dog.
That's great. And you guys meet quite often,
We meet
from
a
my
lot
understanding. Yeah,
every weekend.
every weekend.
Yeah, every
So,
weekend.
so you know, if you're interested in this dog sport and anything that, you know, is part of it, reach out to the group. It's amazing. It's great opportunities for the dogs. And tell us a little bit, Mona, because I know you mentioned this weekend, there are some dogs there that are actually dog aggressive, but they do very well in these situations. So somebody who has a dog who has the drive and the interest and, you know, the ability to run and be a team dog, or a sled dog.
Or even a single dog or whatever.
Yeah. What can they expect when they go to these groups, considering there's a lot of other dogs there?
We all have well, some, like most huskies, a lot of them are high prey drive, right? So a lot of huskies are not like the friendly social butterflies that people think they are. Uh, so it's made very clear that we all have our space, that we keep our dogs in that space. We don't let the dogs go just sniff any other dog or go in another person's face. Like it's a very controlled, safe environment for any dog. And I've even ran Mishka with a muzzle, a running muzzle, specifically made for her to have enough room to pant and everything. Like if I'm gonna hook her up with another team or something, just so that she doesn't get overstimulated and whatever. I'll put a running muzzle on her. I have to put a running muzzle on her when I'm in public areas. When I'm on private land, I don't have to. But these are all options that are great for people that do have reactive dogs. Because a lot of times people that have reactive dogs are even scared to go for a walk, or they say I have to go for a walk at 5 a.m. or at 10 a.m. because I don't want to meet up with other dogs. I don't want to meet up with another person. I don't want to meet up with a loose dog. What's great about our group is the runs are controlled. We're in an area that's controlled as much as we can. And every musher takes care of their dog very, very well.
Good. That is so important to know. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And you've seen it. Like I'll be in an area with my team. Somebody will be somebody else. Like, and we'll follow each other, and the dogs all see each other.
They do.
But even if the dog is friendly, we tell that person. We tell any new member, even if your dog is friendly, you are not to let your dog go see other dogs.
That's good. Yeah.
Because your dog is here to work. They need to learn that they need to be focused on that and not the dogs.
Yeah.
So
it's important.
It's a relief for people that do have reactive dogs. And it's also like it makes them feel good. It makes them feel good that they can actually do something with their dogs, and they're with other people. The dog gets to see other people. They get to see other dogs, and they're not threatened.
No, and the whole experience stays positive for them, and just builds on that positive association, which I'm huge on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a it's a perfect way to bond with your dog too. Like it's really amazing. I mean, you can do an hour walk or you can run them for 20 minutes. They'll be pooched.
Yeah. Oh, and they are, like, they come back from those runs and they're definitely, they need their break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they need their break.
Yeah. It's absolutely amazing, and the love that you have for this sport is very apparent. And I am so happy that you invited me out this weekend and I got to experience it. And even my 10-year-old son was able to give it a shot, and he ended up being able to be a musher because at that point, your dogs, the team was quite tired, so they weren't going as fast. But that's an experience that he would have probably never had the opportunity to try, especially at this age, because it's not a sport that we've done or gotten into. So thank you again for inviting me this weekend. But anybody who is interested in dog sledding or bijoring or skijoring or any of these other dog sports, reach out to the group, and maybe I'll find the link and I will put it in either the description of the video or in the comments, so anybody can find them. And yeah, definitely get a hold of them if this is something that you'd be interested in doing, and find out more about it. So Mona, yeah, I want to thank you for joining me today. Is there anything else that you wanted to add that you feel that you want to share?
It's the best sport in the world. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And do they have to have huskies? I think a lot of people think that it has to be, they are the dog sledding team, like it has to be huskies.
Actually, like Megan's team is Eurohounds or hounds. Her team is very, very fast. They're sprinters. But there's another one of our members, Jacob. He's a founder too, and he's got all Alaskan Huskies. But there's been Labradoodles, there's been mixed border collies. Any dog that has a desire to pull or to run or to do something awesome with their owner, they have the ability to do that.
Good.
Like if you don't have to be a sled dog, you can go canny cross with them. Like if you're having a really hard time controlling your dog on leash, it's much better to put them in a harness and to actually let them pull you in some way, shape, or form, rather than training them off leash or leaving them loose because you can't handle them on leash.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because even like obviously we can train dogs to be on leash and to walk properly, and it's all about being able to pay attention to the owner. But there are some dogs that the drive is just so high that to expect them to be able to walk all the time is almost an impossible feat to
well, it's a lot of work. My dogs walk good with their halties, but it's a lot of work. It's hard on my arms, it's hard on my back, it's hard on a lot of areas of because they like a husky can pull 3 times their weight. So if I'm walking 2 dogs, I'm a puppet. If they really want to pull me anywhere they want, I mean, even Kova, if he just decided I'm not walking, I'm gonna just pull you, he could pull me like a rag doll.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Because they can pull 3 times their weight. So for them to walk beside you and constantly not pull, and they're gonna test you, they're gonna test you, it takes years.
It does.
It does.
It does. And that's something that I tell my clients, when I do my leash. Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight with huskies. It doesn't happen with a lot of large dog breeds.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not something that you're going to do for 2 weeks and it's going to be solved. No,
Yeah.
it's constant. And so I find this is a way to let them pull. Let them pull. Let them have their fun. And you're having fun. And you're seeing your dog doing something. It's amazing. It's really, it truly
really
is.
And I'm gonna post just a little video, as long as you okay them, Mona, because most of them were yours. But I'm gonna post some bits and pieces of the videos, just so that you can see on what it looks like, and it's really beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see.
Yeah.
So thank you again for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you and learning about all this. I'm glad you could share the information with us. And again, the information for the Facebook group will be posted with this video so that people can reach out. And yeah, if they have any questions or if they just want to come out and check it out, they can make arrangements with the group to do so. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Actually, Megan, one of our founder of the group, she has a side little business. It's called Run-A-Mutt.
Oh, cool.
So if anybody wants to try their dogs with a team or see if they have it in them.
Super awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. So then they really, before they go and invest in equipment and all that stuff, they can test it out firsthand.
Because that's how it started with me with Koba. I made him run with Megan.
So cool. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that with us. And
you're welcome. My pleasure.
I hope that you guys keep building your teams and keep building the group, because it is absolutely amazing. So you have yourself a wonderful afternoon, Mona, and thanks again for joining me.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thanks for inviting.
You're welcome. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Well, how cool was that, folks? So again, the information will be in the comments or in the description of the video. If you have any questions, please reach out to the group. But on that note, I am also out of here, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.